Hey guys, it's Cayley. I'm back with another what sold from last week video. In today's video, I'm going to be going over my sales that happened last week on my two main platforms, which are eBay and Poshmark. In total, I had a pretty good week. I'm also selling on a couple of other platforms, and so there's about $1,000 not accounted for on this report from Whatnot and Depop, and I hope to be sharing some of those sales with you soon as well. But for today, we are just focusing on eBay and Poshmark. These sales are happening between October 12th through the 18th. I sold a total of 122 items divided between those two platforms. On eBay, I sold 79. On Poshmark, I sold 43, which is actually pretty good for Poshmark for me. I sold a gross item sales, meaning not including what I received for shipping, of a little over $3,700. My average item sale price, again, not including shipping, was close to $31, much lower than I want. I want to get that back bumped up. But recently I've been shopping at the bins and my net profits have been great, about the same because my cost of goods have been lowered, although my ASP is about the same. On eBay, I sold after shipping costs a little over $2,700 and on Poshmark a little over $1,000. My average item sale price on eBay was close to $35, which is exactly where I want to be at. But on Poshmark, I sold a lot of older inventory and flushed some of that out for an average item sale price of $24. Let's dive into these individual sales. First up is an item I paid up for. There's actually a few items in today's video that I paid up for. This is one I paid the most for. I paid $20 for this item. It is a men's Vince, which is a pretty high retailing brand. Men's quilted bomber jacket in a much larger size, a size XXL. There were a few reasons I thought that this would sell. Vince, although high retailing, is not typically high sell-through rate for the entire brand, but in the men's stuff, depending on what you have, can perform well. So paired with a substantial piece and the quilted and the larger size, it made for a really great sale. I listed this for $98. It did sell for my full asking price, and it sold within just a couple of months. Next up, this is another one we paid up for. We paid $15 for this Johnny Was dress. This is one of their lines called 3J Workshop. They have many different lines, so make sure you familiarize yourself with all of them. And this is kind of one of their classic embroidered tags. I paid $15 for this dress and listed it at $60 or best offer. This is an item we've held on to a little bit and got reworked. And after getting that item reworked, it sold the exact same day that we got it relisted for full asking price. Nobody even sent an offer. So $60, 15 into 60. I do wish that some items, wouldn't take as long to sell, but I have a strategy now for items that have sat longer than 90 days, getting those items reworked and refreshed in the algorithm. Next up, this is an item that we picked up from the bins. This is a men's style-based item by the brand Abercrombie and Fitch. In Y2K stuff, this is one of the best brands to look for as far as like mall brands go. Abercrombie and Fitch is very trendy. This is a men's muscle hoodie in a larger size XXL. The color was not the greatest. I actually think that the yellow kind of pulled away from what a buyer would be looking for, but that larger size brought it back up, and the brand, as I said, is a bolo in the Y2K stuff. Listed this one for $50 and it sold for our full asking price of $50. This one took about 2.5 months to sell. And as I mentioned before, my goal is to sell things within 90 days. So as long as it sells within 3 months, I am happy. Next up, another one I paid up for. I paid about $14.50 for this one. This is a vintage Dickies canvas jacket, and I listed this for $50. It sold on an offer to watcher for $42. So 15 into 42. Reason I was willing to pay up for this was because I knew it would be a quick flip if I priced it correctly, and I was right. It sold the exact same day that we got it listed. All of these vintage, older workwear canvas jackets are catching my eye because the main bolo are Carhartt jackets, but people also want to not pay that much for them because those can go for $100 and up, even destroyed. And so people are looking for that same look, but maybe not the Carhartt label. And so they're willing to pay for other brands that look similar, and Dickies is definitely one of those. So I knew it would be a super quick flip, even with all of the wear. This is the older Dickies label, but just in general, you want to be on the hunt for vintage workwear canvas jackets. Next up, this was also a relatively quick flip, took just a few weeks. This is the brand Vuori. This brand is very popular. It has a really great sell-through rate as a whole, and so I pretty much pick up everything I find in this brand, especially at the bins where I'm only paying a couple bucks. This is a women's skort. It was called the Volley Skort, and we listed this for 50 bucks. We were lucky to find it new with tags at the bins, which is kind of crazy. And it sold on an offer to Watcher for $42 in, like I said, just a few weeks. Definitely keep your eye out for this brand. Sometimes the tag inside is going to be ripped out, so all you'll be left with is a logo, and you'll want to know what that logo looks like. And as I've been doing research recently, skirts are becoming trendy again, so I think that's another reason that this sold. All right, this was an item that also got reworked and price dropped. This one is the brand Speechless. This is not a brand I recommend necessarily seeking after, but they do have a lot of Y2K dresses in good styles. This one is definitely missing a lot of factors, but also has some great factors. So I'm trying to price accordingly and get it to flip. Plus stuff like this is probably not going to sell in the next couple of months. I'm trying to center stuff like this towards Halloween because once Halloween's over, all this stuff's probably going to drop off unless it's really great. So keeping that in mind, we are price dropping some of this stuff. This got price dropped to around $34 or best offer. Someone just bought it outright for $34 and it sold the exact same day that we got it reworked, which is pretty awesome. I originally paid about $5.50. All right, something everybody's looking for right now are puffer coats, and this is no exception for me, especially at the bins. Puffer jackets have almost like this deceiving look to them because they're big and bulky, but they're not typically heavy. And so they can be a great piece to pick up at the bins because a lot of people will just not even look at the heavier looking coats. But I do because I think they're worth paying up for. This is Mountain Hardwear. It is a women's rail down puffer coat with a longer length, a fur hood, and a nice neutral color, and a decent size. So all of those things combined makes for a great sale. This is not a brand you want to get everything in. I like getting a lot of the men's stuff. When it comes to women's, I try to stick to substantial pieces, but it is a brand that I do enjoy finding, and it does have a decent following. This one I listed for $45 and it ended up selling on an offer to Watcher for $38. This one took about a month to sell. Next up, one of my favorite brands to find is Ralph Lauren and all of their sublines. I definitely don't pick up everything because I come across a lot of it, but I try to stick to more substantial pieces and the bolos that I know about within Ralph Lauren. All the men's stuff at least is pretty bread and butter for me. So whenever I come across even a neutral jacket like this, or we called this a cardigan, we probably should have called it a jacket, but even sweaters, things like that in the men's department perform really well. We listed this as a full zip cardigan and it has the logo on it. It was also a larger size for $40 and this sold for full asking price of $40. This one did take about the full 90 days to sell, however, but any kind of men's Ralph Lauren and really Ralph Lauren in general, substantial pieces, you definitely want to at least comp and see if they fit your sourcing metrics. All right, this is a great style-based piece. I love this one because if you look up Tony Hawk men's hoodies, not a great sell-through rate. Even if you look up Tony Hawk Y2K hoodies, not a great sell-through rate. And so you really have to know what it is that men's Y2K buyers are looking for in order to go against comps. And I feel like this piece definitely had all of those things. So it was a recognizable brand. It was thick. It was a larger size. It had a lining inside and it was actual vintage with a really nice graphic on it. So for all of those reasons, against the comps, I decided to go ahead and get this, and I paid $5. I priced it for $35. It did sell for my full asking price, and this took a month to sell. Next up, another Patagonia item. I've been selling a lot of Patagonia. It is definitely a brand you want to look for. However, the brand as a whole, not 100% sell-through rate, so you need to look up the styles that you have. I always get excited anytime I find an outerwear piece or a more substantial piece by Patagonia. This one is one of their more popular items. It's called the Better Sweater. This is a men's and it's a larger size in a great color, so like a neutral blue. And for that reason, we got it. I paid $8.99, listed for $40. It sold for my full asking price of $40. This one took about 3 weeks to sell. Next up, another men's brand I like finding. I don't know, I think it's pronounced Stussy, Stussy, and same thing with this one. You're not going to see 100% sell-through rate, so you have to know what within the brand people are looking for. And this large dice graphic on the back was one I thought that a lot of people would enjoy. Plus, it is a larger size, so picked this one up, got it listed. It sold very quickly. It actually sold the next day after getting listed for my full asking price of $35. This one actually took a while. This was towards the end of the 90 days. This is something I got at a garage sale. Actually, it was like a community garage sale back in summer. It is a pair of Levi's jeans, and men's Levi's jeans in general, I keep my eye out for. I come across a lot of them, but I don't pick up a lot of them. There's certain styles that I know perform well, and the Carpenter is one of them, and also the silver tab is also something I look for. So when I saw these combined and I only paid $1.50 for them, I definitely wanted to get them. I included some keywords like Y2K, skater, baggy, and loose straight. I listed for $30, so priced competitively because there is a lot of these out there. And it sold for my full asking price of $30, so $1.50 into 30 in under 90 days is a win for me. Next up, this is something that I love finding in Anthropologie, which are their longer length dresses, pretty much any substantial piece by them. This is by Anthropologie. It's their house line. It's a size small, but it is a longer length dress with lots of beautiful details. All of those ruffles, all the tiers, the full button, the longer puff sleeve, all aid and factor stack into a piece to tell my brain that I'm going to be able to get more for it. This one was missing its original belt, so that brought the price down a little. Listed this for $6.99. Or sorry, I picked it up for $6.99. I listed it for $40 and it sold on an offer to watcher for $34. This one also was at towards the end of that 90-day window, probably because it was missing the original belt. This was a recent pickup that sold very quickly. I had a ton of interest, a ton of people messaging me about this, a ton of offers on other platforms. And because of that, I knew I was probably going to get my full asking price or close to it, so I didn't accept any offers. This is a vintage Carhartt men's camo shirt jacket or shacket. If you see anything vintage Carhartt and it's like it could be considered a jacket or a shacket, I would definitely be looking it up. It's not always going to be a canvas piece that does well, but definitely unique camos paired with Carhartt are going to perform well. So I grabbed this one. This one was very old. It had like union labels and stuff on it, but it did have some spots. I listed this one for $40. I paid $6.19 at a thrift store, and it sold on an offer to watcher for $34. This one only took 2 days to sell. Next up, one of my favorite bread and butters to get is plus size tops, and this is a brand I really like finding in plus sizes. It's what I would consider an elevated brand in plus size because I'm able to get more and it has an increased sell-through rate. This is the J. Jill Wherever collection in a size 3X. 3X is a great size in plus size. It significantly increases value and how quickly it will sell. So if you're in between two items, and one of them's a 3X and one of them's a 2X, the 3X is probably going to sell quicker. So this had a lot of great things going for it. I listed this one for $30. I paid $5.50 and it sold for my full asking price of $30. This one actually sold the day after listing it. Next up, this is a style-based piece. This one took about almost exactly a month to sell. It is by the brand Hollister, which is becoming one of the better Y2K brands to look for. This is a pair of like crop capri cargo pants. Cargo pants in Y2K are something that people are looking for, but it's pretty oversaturated, so you probably want to have a decent brand paired with it. So these were really unique. They had a little embroidered sash that went with it. They were super low rise, and they were a smaller size, and they were Hollister. So all of those reasons went into this decision to pick this one up. I listed these for $35. I paid $5 and they sold on an offer to watcher for $30. Again, just a month after being listed, which is pretty quick for a style-based piece. Next up, another style-based piece. This is not a brand I would memorize. This is a dress that was just very Western country kind of patchwork. It was true vintage, lots of things going for it. I actually considered wearing this to an event, but it ended up being too big and not fitting well, so I ended up listing it. I paid $5 for this one, and I listed it for $35. Some keywords that I used were Y2K, denim, country, and patchwork. This ended up selling on an offer to watcher for $30, and it only took a few weeks to sell. All right, next up, this is a brand that was a bolo for a while. I'd still say it's a bolo. I think you just need to be careful about what you pick up. Make sure you're searching the exact style that you have, including the size, all of that. So this is a G4 men's peak polo. It retails for a lot, but there were quite a bit of these online, even new with tags, in my exact size, which was an extra large. So I just priced accordingly to make sure that it would move. I paid $5, listed for $30. It did sell for our full asking price of $30, and this only took 5 days to sell. This is an item that had sat and did not sell within 90 days, so I reworked the item, and I've mentioned this in several videos and you guys are becoming interested in it, so I may do a video in the future on how exactly I do this, or maybe just a short video, like a reel. But whenever something isn't moving and I feel like it needs like a little bit extra, I'll put it on an AI model, and I just use ChatGPT. I know it's a question a lot of you have been asking me. I just use ChatGPT and I ask it to put on an AI model. There are specific phrases that I use to kind of adjust if it's not getting it right. But generally speaking, it does do pretty well. And I really believe that's what sold this item. So we got it relisted and listed for $30 or best offer. I slap best offer when we rework an item because I want that item to move at that point if it hasn't sold within 90 days. Paid $5 originally, listed again for $30 or best offer. It sold on an offer to watcher for $25, and it only took 11 days to sell after getting it reworked with this AI photo, which again, I believe is really what's selling the item. Next up, a Y2K piece. I've been picking up a lot of stuff in this brand. I'm not familiar with this brand, but I've been finding a lot of Y2K pieces by them. It is the brand Wrapper. Again, not a brand I would look for, but it might pique your interest to be like, is this a good Y2K piece to get or not? I paid $5 for this little baby doll meshy long sleeve top, and I listed it for $28. It sold for my full asking price of $28, and this one took about a month to sell. These are the kind of things that I'm picking up and finding all day long. I don't know about in your area, but in my area, Y2K stuff is readily abundant, and I obviously don't get everything, but there are certain things like these Y2K tops that I really love getting because they really sell quickly and they help pad my sales with just quick flips that when multiplied make really good headway on sales. And so I really love picking them up because they're so easy to find and flip. Keywords I used for this one were Y2K, dark floral, mesh, fairy grunge, and baby doll top. So lots of more keywords that we could have used, but those were good. And again, sold for full asking price within just a few weeks. Here is another one that sold, another Y2K style. This one was also a baby doll top and it was faux wrap. Lots of great details on this one. I listed this one for $30 and it sold on an offer to watcher for $25. This one actually only took 8 days to sell, so about a week, which is a really awesome flip. Again, those quick flips are what really elevate sales for me in between the bolos and some of the other bread and butter stuff. Another Y2K style. This is not true Y2K. It's by the brand Abercrombie & Fitch, but it's a modern label, but it is a Y2K style. So we put it in the title. Again, very similar aesthetic. We've got the baby doll top. We also use coquette, and this micro floral was also very on trend. Listed this for $25. It sold for our full asking price of $25. We got this from the bins. This thing probably cost us $1 or less. To flip it into $25 super quickly within a month is always a win in my book, especially when you can do it over and over again. Another one, this is an unbranded Y2K baby doll top. I listed this for $25. It sold for full asking price of $25, and this one also only took a couple of weeks to sell. Another Y2K one, this one actually sold in a bundle with another item for a total of about $50 plus shipping after the discount, and the buyer bought 2 plain black ribbed Y2K tank tops, and this was one of them. This is just an older label, Old Navy ribbed tank, and again, I can come across these pretty often. You just really have to know like exactly what factors have to be stacked, and also pair that with the right keywords so that you're getting it to the buyers that are willing and wanting to purchase these tops for this amount of money. This one I used some keywords like Y2K, ribbed, tank, preppy, even through 90s because it's kind of like a 90s grunge, and neutral. Listed this for $30 and it again sold in a bundle for a total of $50 after all was said and done. This is the last one on eBay before diving into some of the Poshmark sales. This is just Modern Wild Fable, which is a brand sold, I believe, at Target. Maybe Kohl's, I think it's Target. But they make some really cute style-based pieces. And so whenever I find them, I scoop them up, especially from the bins, and we test them out. You can actually see in my SKU, we put the word test. That's so that we follow up on what we did if it's newer to us. And so we grab this. So Modern Wild Fable. This is a very on-trend top because it's kind of like a corsety, romantic Renaissance look. And we listed this for $25. It sold on an offer to watcher for $21, and it took only a few weeks to sell. Next up, the Poshmark sales were also abundant. Like I said, I had a pretty good week on there. My average sale price was closer to $25, but I'd had some higher full price sales as well, such as this North Face women's puffer vest. Again, puffer being very trendy. This one's a packable one. This one was also a size large. So all of those things stacking on top of each other. This one ended up selling for $40. I have been sitting on this tie for a while. I found this at the bins. It was a men's luxury Gucci tie. And with luxury, a lot of people say, I see this in the comments all the time. They're like, I don't understand why I'm not selling things. I have nothing but luxury designer brands, good brands in my store. The thing is it doesn't matter. Like, it's about what demand is actually there. And so if there's a ton of designer stuff similar to yours online, it's just essentially a race to the bottom on price. You have to have something with a demand where there's more buyers for the item than are available in order for items to move quickly. And you can have all the designer items in the world and they may not ever move simply because the demand is not super high. There's not more buyers than there are availability for the item. And you would think that with something being designer that there would always be desirability, but that's just simply not true anymore. And so this would be an example of that. I got a men's Gucci tie and I listed it when I first got it from the bins, was super excited. Still an exciting find. But I think you need to be realistic when listing luxury things to know that it's probably going to take a while to sell. Is it worth it? Was it worth waiting for that right buyer and for the item to sell for a lot? In most cases it is, but just be realistic about it. Don't expect super quick flips with this stuff, or higher price stuff in general. And this was the case with this one. I thought I had a more unique print, wasn't really sure where to price it at, so I listed it high and I just got tired of sitting on it. It's not been a year quite yet. But it's probably been at least 6 months. And like I said, I'm trying to flip items within 90 days. So this one's been sitting. I received an offer for $60 and I went ahead and accepted to move this item because that is my goal, to move things quickly. But just an example how you can have the best brands in your store, but it doesn't matter if there isn't a demand, which is why I really, really recommend, especially for beginners, that you are comping every single thing you have. You are looking at the sell-through rate of those items. And in my opinion, you probably shouldn't pick up anything that is less than a 50% sell-through rate within 90 days, and hopefully closer to that 100%. Next up is a top by the brand Alembica. This one we were lucky enough to get new with tags. This is an excellent brand. It is pretty easy to walk right by. They make a lot of plain but also artsy looking stuff, and they look like just like a plus size top. This one is one that we listed for around $60. I accepted an offer of $49. Some of the stuff I've sold for close to $100 pre-owned, so it just really depends on what it is and what size that you have, but it's a really nice niche, artsy log and look style brand. All right, this was another one that we reworked and I added an AI model on because I felt like it needed it in order to sell it. So this is a vintage denim, oversized kind of chore style, barn style jacket, not by a brand you should memorize. But I thought it was a great style based piece. It, however, sat like this. So I went ahead and put it on a model and it sold extremely quickly after getting that relisted with the model. And I accepted an offer of $35 on this jacket. Here is another men's Y2K piece that if you look up this brand and the shirt and the size, you're not going to see a 100% sell-through rate. That's why style-based stuff can be tricky. But I sold this more as a style-based piece, similar to the Tony Hawk hoodie. You just got to know what factors are going to bring the right buyers in. So this is a Roar men's shirt. Large graphic on the back. These used to have 100% sell-through rate and flip all day long for like $40. They do not anymore. But I took a chance with this one because it was a larger size. It had a large graphic and I elevated it by describing the graphic. So it was more like a tribal print. And we also use multiple keywords like Y2K, grunge, alternative, biker, rockabilly, lots of different things you can do with this, but I would say the size in general really helped to elevate this. And I also priced competitively to get it to move and counteract that slower sell-through rate, and it sold very quickly on an offer of $30. Next up, this is a men's cardigan. Men's cardigans perform extremely well for me, and Banana Republic is a brand I heavily look for in men's cardigans during this time of the year. This one was a bit of a smaller size, smaller than I would have liked, in a size medium, but it had the shawl collar. It had that buffalo check plaid, and that's very trendy as well. I went ahead and accepted an offer of $28 on this one. I probably could have held out for closer to $35, but I would rather just see it move. All right, this is a brand I have been testing out lately. It is Oli and Howley. It has a decent sell-through rate, not even close to 100%, but a decent sell-through rate. I think this might be like a boutique-y kind of brand, similar to Pole is what it reminds me of. I'm not sure, but it had again, a decent sell-through rate, enough that I wanted to try it. And I noticed this brand is even more trendy on Poshmark. And to my surprise, it actually sold very quickly for an offer of $32. So I am absolutely going to be keeping my eye out for it. This is a mixed media thermal top, but it is super oversized. All right, I've been finding and selling a lot of these recently. They are the brand Lulu Bee, and it's their UPF dresses, specifically in larger sizes, perform well, and they still have a great sell-through rate, even though we're in colder weather. So people must be still getting them for vacation or just being outdoors, whatever. They have a lot of bright, kind of Lily Pulitzer inspired prints. I listed this one for closer to 40 and accepted an offer of $35. This one was a size large. All right, I mentioned this in the past. This is a Figs kind of undershirt, or I guess they call it an underscrub top. I like showing these because they have a really great sell-through rate, but they're not what you think of when you think of Figs. And so just making you guys aware that they make these stretchy undershirts and that they do perform well. I accepted an offer of this long sleeve women's one for $28. Here's another Abercrombie and Fitch. This is just a Y2K style men's Henley shirt. I've mentioned in previous videos, men's Henleys are something I look for during fall and winter as kind of a bread and butter item, in many different brands, but I do make sure to do my comps and make sure there is a demand there. Abercrombie and Fitch, again, is a popular brand, especially in a Y2K style. And I listed this for around $35 and quickly accepted an offer of $27. I also like finding Y2K Henleys in the women's department, although they don't typically sell for as much. This one was a vintage Y2K Old Navy thermal Henley in a women's size medium. I elevated this by including Elena Gilbert from Vampire Diaries. This is a common tactic I have with some of these more plain pieces if I feel like it could be worn on them. And people looking for the style, which by the way, a lot of people are looking for Elena Gilbert outfits, brings it to the right buyer. And this one sold quickly because of that. You do need to be careful when putting TV show names, movie names, artist names, like anything really. It's a risk no matter what you do, even if it's a portion of it. Just know that it's a risk. It's a risk I'm personally willing to take, and I've never had an issue with it. But again, make that decision for your own store. This one sold on an offer to watcher for $26. All right, these next two tops sold in a bundle. This is the brand Paparazzi, which is not necessarily a bolo brand, but they make a lot of great style-based pieces. I especially like finding their velvet burnout stuff. And honestly, this could have been any brand and I would have grabbed it because velvet burnout is so trendy right now. And these kimono tops perform well for me. I listed this one high because it was a great brand well known for this kind of thing, and I accepted an offer of $35 in a bundle. And this one also sold for about $35 in the bundle. This is White Stag, not a brand you want to memorize, but this again is a velvet burnout top with some beautiful details in a larger size. And so both of those sold to the same buyer. Next up, this was a pretty funny sale. You would not think to look for this, but there are lots of things hiding in the sleepwear section or the intimates section. I know a lot of people steer away from that category. I'm not sure why. To me, it's like just like any other category, people are wearing them, right? So they're pre-owned. But this was actually a pair of men's boxer shorts that I found in the women's sleepwear section. And it is vintage Christian Dior, which is a luxury designer. And a lot of the vintage Christian Dior stuff performs really well for me with the old money, very classic aesthetic that a lot of people are searching for right now. I thought that this actually might do well. So I did a comp search and saw that there actually was quite a bit of demand for stuff like this. And so I listed these as men's boxer shorts, put vintage and Yeah, I listed them high. I think I listed them at around $35 or $40 and accepted an offer very quickly for 30. So you never know what's hiding in some of those sections. So I like going to all of them. And lastly is a bolo within not a bolo brand. It is the brand Aerie. It's one of my personal favorite brands to wear, but they definitely as a whole don't have a great sell-through rate, but there are certain pockets of bolos within every brand, and Aerie is definitely one of them. This is an example of a bolo within that brand. It is called the Lumberjane shirt. You're going to see a ton of people wearing this year. I saw a ton of people last year wearing this. This was like crazy. Like everybody I knew had one of these, including myself, and they sell really well, especially right now. And depending on the size you have and the color can be more rare, can give you more money, can sell quicker. But in general, keep your eye out for them. They're called the Lumberjane shirts. I listed this one for $35 and it sold on an offer for $29. All right, guys, so that's it for what sold this week. I hope that you all enjoyed watching. Drop a comment down below and let me know how sales are going for you. Have they started picking up for Q4? And what kinds of things are you guys selling? Let me know what your favorite piece was that sold. Mine were probably the boxer shorts just because they were so overlooked. I like finding and selling things that most resellers don't. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!